Oke, selamat malam semuanya, good evening dan salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sebelumnya selamat datang kepada teman-teman yang sudah mendaftar di webinar kita ke volume ke-44. Pada hari ini kita akan membahas tema spesifik, yaitu how to conquer IELTS speaking and how to get 8 ya. Nah, hari ini kita akan bareng-bareng Kak Maisha membahas ini. Nah, nanti saya akan memperkenalkan Kak Maisanya. Nah, sebelum ke acara inti, saya ingin membacakan aturan webinar terlebih dahulu. Jadi, teman-teman harap menggunakan nama asli pada username, dan selagi webinar berlangsung, teman-teman boleh banget kalau mendapatkan informasi yang bermanfaat atau hal-hal menarik dari materinya Kak Maisa, itu bisa banget di screen capture dan share juga keseruan webinarnya di Instastory-nya teman-teman. Lalu bisa juga tag Oversea Academy dan juga Instagramnya Kak Maisa. Nah, ini belum saya tulis ya. Nanti Kak Maisa mungkin bisa menyampaikan later waktu perkenalan. Kemudian teman-teman dilarang untuk membuat kerusuhan atau hal-hal yang mengganggu jalannya webinar, tapi ini nanti akan sifatnya interaktif ya, karena kita alhamdulillah jumlahnya juga nggak terlalu banyak, jadi teman-teman di sini harapannya bisa aktif ya, karena kita akan manfaatkan momen untuk latihan speaking. Jadi teman-teman nanti akan ada kesempatan untuk mempraktekkan speakingnya bersama Kak Maisa, nanti akan dikasih feedback juga. Nah, luar biasa kan, jadi teman-teman akan dapat nih kesempatan. Nah, harapannya di sini semuanya pada ready ya untuk nanti ditunjuk. Kita bergilir aja supaya semuanya dapat kesempatan. Lalu dilarang ya tadi membuat kerusuhan seperti mencoret-coret ataupun mengatakan hal-hal yang tidak berhubungan dengan webinar. Kemudian bagi yang punya pertanyaan, nanti di akhir itu akan ada Q&A session. Nah, pada saat Q&A session, teman-teman bisa banget tanya via raise hand, atau bisa juga tulis dulu pertanyaannya di kolom chat, nah baru nanti langsung ditanyakan ke Kak Maisa. Dan semoga webinarnya bermanfaat, dan tetap semangat. Oke, itu tadi aturannya tentang webinar kali ini. Nah, mungkin teman-teman penasaran ya tentang penyelenggara dari webinar ini, yaitu Oversea Academy. Nah, saya akan sekaligus juga memperkenalkan Oversea Academy ya. Oke, tapi saya belum kenalan juga ya tadi. Saya Rio Alfajri. Saya merupakan moderator pada kesempatan kali ini dan juga co-founder dari Oversea Academy dan juga diamanahi sebagai CEO. Nah, di sini ada 11 orang, ada 10 berarti ya, di luar Kak Maisa dan saya. Nah, mungkin bisa tulis juga di kolom chat, teman-teman yang bersepuluh ini ready untuk ikutan latihan speaking atau enggak. Mungkin bisa dengan kasih ready. Terus juga bisa tulis dari daerah mana, supaya saya dan Kak Maisa bisa memetakan nih demografi peserta yang hadir pada kesempatan ini ada dari mana aja. Oke, silakan ditulis ya di kolom chat box, kalian saya menjelaskan tentang Oversea Academy. Supaya kita tahu nih, sama-sama kenal. Oke, ini udah ada yang nulis. Oke, ready nih. Uci dari Makassar sama Ready dari Pekanbaru, Arif ya. Wih, keren, keren, keren. Yang lain gimana nih? Yang 10 orang lain, apakah siap untuk nanti praktis? Soalnya kapan lagi ya bisa latihan praktis langsung sama expert tutornya Oversea? Oke, ada dari Erika ya, dari Surabaya. Oke, ya sambil nunggu yang lain, saya akan memperkenalkan Oversea Academy dulu. Ini sedikit tentang saya ya, tadi sudah dijelaskan, saya co-founder Oversea Academy, dan sekarang fokus di Overseas Academy sebagai CEO, dan juga di sela-sela itu saya bekerja sebagai Business Operation Analyst di sebuah investment company di Bandung, namanya PT CRA. Saya merupakan alumni dari Wageningen University and Research dan juga Universitas Pajajaran. Alhamdulillah saya mendapatkan beasiswa DAAD dan juga LPDP. Nah, sedikit tentang overseas. Overseas ini hadir untuk menjadi jembatan ya, memfasilitasi bagi teman-teman yang ingin lanjut kuliah ke luar negeri dengan berbagai macam kebutuhan yang ada, termasuk salah satunya IELTS atau English Proficiency Test, di mana itu merupakan gerbang awal bagi teman-teman untuk melanjutkan studi dengan beasiswa ataupun tanpa beasiswa. Kenapa? Karena kalau teman-teman mau lanjut ke luar negeri, tentunya banyak bahasa pengantarnya itu adalah bahasa Inggris. Dan untuk menguji apakah kita siap atau enggak untuk nanti mengikuti pelajarannya, ya kita tentunya perlu melampirkan kemampuan kita berbahasa Inggris. Nah, salah satunya adalah menggunakan IELTS. Nanti mungkin Kak Maisa akan menjelaskan lebih jauh juga tentang IELTS speaking. Jadi IELTS itu sendiri nanti ada 4 section, dan di sectionnya itu ada reading, listening, kemudian ada writing, dan terakhir ada speaking. Nah, 2 tes terakhir yang saya mention, yaitu writing dan speaking, consider as the most difficult ya. Kenapa saya bilang the most difficult? Apakah itu subjektif saya? Enggak. Karena ada nilai yang pernah dipublish dari IELTS official-nya, nilai rata-rata dari IELTS test taker atau IELTS partisipan itu, yang paling jelek itu writing, yaitu 5,8, dan speaking itu 6,0. Jadi itu rata-rata yang paling jelek di antara 4 tes tadi. Nah, makanya teman-teman beruntung nih hari ini hadir untuk bisa latihan dan juga nanti tahu ya gimana menaklukkan IELTS speaking test itu sendiri. Oke, nah overseas sendiri itu lahir tahun 2020. Kita November tahun lalu, jadi usia kita sudah 1 tahun. Alhamdulillah, selama 1 tahun berjalan kita rutin memberikan webinar yang bermanfaat. Ada 44 webinar, dan ini adalah webinar ke-44 kita. Kemudian 5 workshop dan 2 talk show. I think ini bisa juga consider as talk show ya, bisa dianggap sebagai talk show juga. Karena, bisa dianggap sebagai workshop maksud saya, karena nanti teman-teman akan praktis. Dan sejauh ini alhamdulillah sudah 23.000 orang yang mendapatkan manfaat dari kita, dari webinarnya, dan juga dari kelas-kelas yang ada di overseas. Ini beberapa contoh webinar kita. Kita rutin membahas beasiswa di Jepang, dengan LPDP khusus dokter, beasiswa PNS, terus ada Fulbright. Nanti insya Allah kita akan bahas lagi tentang Fulbright ya, karena sebentar lagi akan buka studi ke USA. Terus ada Australian Award, terus Live at Osaka University dengan PPI Osaka, terus dengan British Embassy di Jakarta atau Kedutaan Besar UK, kita bahas tentang beasiswanya, yaitu beasiswa Chevening, langsung dengan Scholarship and Alumni Coordinator-nya ya, yaitu Ibu Rowena. Dan juga tentunya ada awardee-nya juga. Jadi kita lihat dari best practice awardee dan juga dari official-nya. Kemudian kita juga ngadain workshop-workshop yang bermanfaat, salah satunya ini basic Mandarin. Waktu itu kita langsung dengan native speaker-nya, yaitu Dawei Jiang. Dia merupakan teman saya dulu dari Cina ya. Jadi langsung belajar bahasa Cinanya dari native-nya. Kemudian kita juga pernah kerjasama dengan Campus France, itu lembaga resmi dari Kedutaan Besar Prancis yang menjelaskan tentang studi di Prancis. Kemudian juga ASEAN Non-ASEAN Scholarship, ini dengan PPI Chulalongkorn. Ini beberapa keseruan webinar kita. Waktu itu kita bahas.
Jadi memang hubungan bilateral antara Indonesia dengan Belanda itu cukup kuat sampai sekarang.
Teman-teman. Jadi SA saya itu ada sekitar.
Nah, ini waktu itu kita bahas bareng Nufik Neso, atau ya lembaga pendidikan di bawah Kedutaan Besar Belanda. Kita bahas beasiswa Stunet. Kita bedah esainya juga. untuk lanjut studi ke Belanda ya. Waktu itu bareng Kak Idan. Kak Idan ini juga tutor kita yang sekaligus awardee Stunet. Nah, ini waktu itu kita dengan PPI Beijing ya, bahas tentang China Government Scholarship, dan ini kita membahas yang tadi workshop bareng bahasa Mandarin.
To show their love and respect to their dead friends.
我是玛丽卡，其实我已经学了汉语。
就是不知道要问什么，其实我可以讲中
Oke,
文了。
nah nanti kurang lebih teman-teman bakalan kayak gitu ya, bakalan practice bareng Kak Maisa. Jadi kalau bisa open cam, it will be better ya, karena kita akan lihat juga tentunya gimana nanti ekspresinya teman-teman waktu lagi jawab speaking test. Jadi mumpung saya masih jawab-jawab tentang overseas, jadi teman-teman bisa siap-siap nih untuk ready untuk open cam juga. Ini sejauh ini baru 1, 2, 3, 4 yang ready nih. Ada Renaldi dari Bandung, kemudian Erika dari Surabaya, Arif Rahman Pekanbaru, dan Uci dari Makassar. Yang lain gimana nih? Udah siap belum untuk praktisnya? Nanti soalnya kita bisa milih dari yang udah ready aja, karena kalau belum takutnya teman-teman AFK kan, jadi kita tunggu takutnya nggak siap. Jadi silakan komen di chat box biar saya bisa tahu nih sebagai moderator siapa aja yang ready untuk practice speakingnya ya. Jadi jangan ragu kalau misalnya baru banget, karena nanti juga akan dijelasin basic-basicnya ya. Oke, silakan kalau yang lain di sini, karena ada 15 orang kan, di sini baru 4, jadi kurang 12 lagi di luar kita berdua. Oke, aku lanjutin lagi sambil nunggu teman-teman yang lain. Kita next aja ya. Nah, selain itu overseas juga ada kalender beasiswa, jadi teman-teman nggak akan ketinggalan informasi tentang beasiswa-beasiswa yang lagi update. Jadi pantengin terus informasinya di Overseas Academy, @overseas.academy. Jadi teman-teman nggak ketinggalan kalau ada beasiswa yang lagi buka dan deadline-nya masih panjang. Jadi teman-teman bisa persiapan lebih dalam lagi. Dan juga jangan lupa nyalakan lonceng di Instagram-nya sehingga bisa dapat informasi kalau kita update konten-konten bermanfaat. Selain itu kita juga ada beberapa kelas, dan Kak Maisa salah satunya yang mengajar di kelas IELTS ya. Ini beberapa fasilitas kelas kita, dan ini beberapa students yang sudah berhasil alhamdulillah lanjut studi ke luar negeri. Ada Kak Naila yang lanjut ke UBC, University of British Columbia, dengan beasiswa dari LPDP. Kemudian ada Kak Alfa Robi atau Kak Robi lanjut S2 kalau ini ke Wageningen University dengan beasiswa LPDP, dan juga ada Kak Altea yang lanjut beasiswa S1 dengan LPDP juga ke UI ya kalau Kak Altea. Dan ini adalah Kak Alosius, jadi dia merupakan salah satu student overseas yang sangat persisten ya, keren banget dia. Terus-terusan mencoba meskipun beberapa kali gagal IELTS-nya, tapi tidak pernah menyerah, bahkan sampai 6 kali tes ya. Dan alhamdulillah akhirnya Kak Alo sekarang lagi studi di Belanda ya, di PTHU dengan beasiswa dari PTHU-nya ya. Jadi teman-teman tentunya dengan kehadiran teman-teman di sini, harapannya itu sudah menjadi langkah awal teman-teman untuk lanjut studi ke luar negeri ya. Ini beberapa expert tutor kita. Di sini belum ada Kak Maisa, nanti akan dibuatkan posternya juga. Oke, nah ini merupakan pengenalan dari Overseas Academy. Sekarang kita akan lanjut ke materi utama. Saya lihat belum bertambah ini. Wah, jadi gimana nih yang lain? Oh, ada nih, rupanya Kak Dea ya, ready juga. Oke, jadi ada 5 orang yang ready untuk practice. Nah, sekarang saya mau sapa dulu Kak Maisa. Halo, Assalamualaikum Kak Maisa.
Waalaikumsalam. Jadi aku
Oke.
Kak Maisa.
Anyway, halo Maisa. Anyway, if you feel comfortable to speak in English, that's totally fine. Teman-teman, aku lupa bilang Kak Maisa ini agak sulit berbahasa Indonesia. Jadi karena beliau lama di luar, jadi nanti akan lebih banyaknya pakai bahasa Inggris. Tapi tenang, saya akan menjadi moderator yang akan juga mentranslate ataupun kalau misalnya ada hal-hal yang teman-teman bingung, langsung aja tanya ya. Oke, so how are you doing, Maisa?
I'm great. I'm kind of nervous,
Are you ready
but
for?
I'm ready for this. Yeah.
Okay. Can never. Okay,
Sorry?
that's great. Then, okay. Can you hear my voice clearly? Because I hear you a bit. Your voice is a bit lagging in my computer.
Oh, I think the voice is a little delayed.
Okay, sip. I think that's fine now. Nah, so Kamaisa said that she's ready to deliver her materials, but before I give the floor to Kamaisa, I will introduce a bit about her. Yeah. So her full name is Maisa Ayu Zafira, and currently she's studying in Monash University in Malaysia, majoring Bachelor of Medical Bioscience. And then she's also pre-university foundation program students in Sunway College, Malaysia, in Malaysia as well. And she spent her high school period in British School Muscat in Oman. So she spent around 7 years living abroad and also studying abroad. And this is the important point. Her English proficiency level was proved by IELTS test. And what I would like to highlight is her speaking is 8.5. This is quite high score, almost perfect, because the perfect score is 9. So probably you will know in her materials how to get 8+, and how to conquer, and maybe tips and trick how to avoid something that can reduce your score. Yeah, I think that's a brief introduction about Kak Maisa, and I will give the floor to Kak Maisa. So please be ready, everyone. If you have any question, feel free. Yang ready untuk speaking test lagi, maksudnya untuk latihan speaking, nanti langsung komen aja ya. Dan kalau bisa on cam, it will be better, karena speaking kan juga it's the matter of your how to say, facial expression kan. Jadi kalau kita bisa lihat wajahnya teman-teman, it will be better. Okay, I will give the floor to Kamesa. Silakan.
All right, so firstly, I will be sharing my screen. Hold on. Let me start this presentation. Okay, so as you've seen, I am Maisa, and I will be your speaker for tonight's webinar. So in tonight's webinar, as Karyo have said before, I will be teaching you about the tips and tricks on how to get a good grade for the IELTS speaking test. Oh, but before that, you were asking about my Instagram, right? So my Instagram, I'll just type it in the chats because it's kind of hard to say. It's this. If you want to tag me, feel free. Okay, now going straight to the presentation, the content of this webinar. So firstly, I will be introducing myself again in a little more detail. I'll also do an overview of the whole speaking test, so the components, and I'll show you the band descriptors that they use. And then we'll dive deeper into each part of the speaking test. So it consists of 3 parts, and I'll be talking to you about it in details. And after every part, I'll have a volunteer session where you can practice the questions. And then after that, I'll give you some additional tips. And lastly, we'll have some mini simulation if we have time and a Q&A session. So firstly, about myself, I'm Isa. I've spent 7 years abroad. I've spent 1 year in Abu Dhabi, and 6 years of my life I've spent in Oman, in Muscat. So those are in Middle East, in the Middle East, if you didn't know. So I took IELTS actually last year around the same time as like right now, so around December, specifically December 14th. And I got the average score of 8, but my individual score was 8.5. So my reasoning for taking IELTS was because I realized that by taking IELTS, it will open up so many opportunities for me as a non-native speaker, because what IELTS essentially does is it proves to many people that you as a non-native speaker are capable of speaking English. And it basically serves as proof to, for example, to companies or to universities that you are able to speak English to your ability stated by the grades. And so it will just allow you to do different things. So you can apply for universities abroad, you can apply for scholarships abroad, you can also apply for company job works abroad. As of my own preparations for IELTS, firstly, I asked my friends who did IELTS before, and because most of them use English in their everyday life like me, most of them said just do it because it's very easy. You don't need to prepare. It's basically just like, for example, if you're Indonesian and you're taking an Indonesian test in Indonesian, it would be like that. It would be as easy as that. So then I trusted them and I went in, no practice, maybe just looking at different types of questions and different styles answers, but no preparation, no big preparations. And I realized that there are loopholes in the test where if I prepared, I could have done better, in which I will be telling you all about it, especially about speaking here, so that you can achieve greater score than me. Okay, so an overview of the IELTS speaking test. As you know, the speaking test is only 1 out of 4 of the IELTS test components that is tested in IELTS. So the speaking is usually either in the very beginning before reading, writing, and listening, because reading, writing, and listening, they come in a package. Those 3 come in a bundle. So speaking is either the very first thing before all those 3 or the very last thing. So in my case, my speaking test was actually in the morning at 10, and then I went home, and then after Zuhur, about 12 something was my reading, listening, and writing test. So it's like that. The speaking test typically lasts for 11 to 14 minutes, and there will be 3 parts of it. Oh, and for the speaking test, basically what they will do is they will invite you to a room in which the examiner will be there. The examiner could be a native speaker, so someone whose first language is English, or it could be somebody who's just really good at English. And basically, I will talk about the individual parts in detail later on, but to give an overview, the first part is just an interview about yourself. So the examiner is going to ask questions about yourself, and it's just going to be some short talks between you and the interviewer and the examiner. The second part will be where you will be given a card in which there will be a particular topic that you won't know what the topic is about beforehand, and you'll be given 1 minute to prepare your answer on a sheet of paper and pen a sheet of paper with pen or pencil, and you will have to speak nonstop for about 1 or 2 minutes. And then part 3 is sort of like a discussion of the follow-up questions that is related to the topic given in topic 2. Now, the whole test will be recorded, but do not panic, because I know some people are like, oh, the test is recorded, I'm gonna make I'm gonna make more mistakes if the test is recorded, I'm so nervous. Don't be like that, okay? It's fine. Just think of it as you talking with the interviewer, or just ignore the recording. So for me, she used this small recording device, and she just puts it on the edge of the desk. Just ignore that. Just think of it as if you're having a normal conversation with your examiner. Okay, now I'm going to talk about band descriptors. I think it's a little hard to see here, but basically there are 4 categories that you'll be graded on. So each is worth 25% because there's 4, right? So you're going to be graded on the fluency and coherence. Basically what that means is how fluent you are. So whether you repeat yourself a lot, or see, the thing that divides band 8 to band 9 is, for band 8, you'll speak fluently with occasional repetition. However, for band 9, you'll speak fluently with rare repetition. So they're talking about, they're looking for how fluent you are, how well you can come up with ideas and communicate them fluently without hesitation. Next is lexical resource, which is basically your vocab bank, your vocabulary. So they want you to be able to use a range of vocabularies in accordance to the topics that they're giving you. So if you are able to use a lot of vocabularies that matches your prompts, for example, then they will consider that as the top band. And for, as you can see here, for level 9, there's the use of idiomatic language. Idiomatic language is basically like idioms, which is expressions that you can people normally use. So I can't think of any Indonesian idioms, but for English, there's, for example, beating around the bush, or for example, 24/7. There's also, this is my last straw, and also there's best of both worlds. So things like that, they are idioms, and they make you sound fluent because native speakers use that in everyday life. It's kind of like an expression. Next, they will test you on your grammar, of course, and I will dive deep into like how you can utilize the use of grammars in each section later on. But for grammar, it's worth 25%, like any other sections. And lastly, pronunciation. They will test you on how well you can pronounce certain things. Now, a common misconception about pronunciation is that people often mistake pronunciation with accent. Now, pronunciation is not the same thing as accent. Accent is present. Everyone has an accent. Everybody whose first language is not English, most of them will have an accent. And it's not a flaw. It just indicates that you can speak a different language. Your first language is not English. It's that as an indicator. So what they mean here, if you look at band 8, accent has minimal effect on intelligibility. What they mean is that even if you have an accent, they want it so that your pronunciation of words is still clear despite you having an accent. But, you know, people say like, oh, if you fake a British accent in the IELTS test, they'll give you a higher score. No, that is not true. You can come with whatever accent you have, as long as your pronunciation is as clear as they want, or they understand your pronunciation, then it's all good. Okay, now we'll dive into part 1, which is the introduction/interview. So, like I said before, this part, you'll be talking, the examiner will ask you about 10 questions. I mean, depending on the time, they will maybe ask more or less, depending on the time, but it'll be questions that you're familiar with about yourself, or familiar topics such as home, family, work, studies, and interests. And this part typically lasts for 4 to 5 minutes. And this part tests about your ability to communicate opinions and information on everyday topics. Now, a note about this part is that the exam, if you answer too long, which was in my case, I was carried on. So I was carried away. So my answers were too long. The examiner will actually step up and stop you. They'll be like, stop, and they will jump to the next question. Here you can see our useful linking words or phrases that you can use in your part 1 to make your statements more connective and to make you sound fluent as well. So you can take a note of that. You can screenshot it, take a picture. I'll give you a few seconds to do so. Okay. But then people might ask, how do I answer a question if the answer is no? My answer is, it's okay to say that you don't like something. It's even in real life, you can't agree to everything. Now, in the way you word your statement would be no, which is your rejection. No, I don't like something, or no, I don't do this. And then you want to put a reason because you want to elaborate, right? You want to use you want to state why you don't like it or why you don't do it. So in this example, do you like dancing? No, I don't like dancing. That is the statement. And then why don't you like dancing? Because I'm not a big music fan. The person could have easily just stopped there, but then they elaborated more. And dancing just makes me feel uncomfortable and self-conscious. Now, if your reasoning is that long, then I think it's okay to stop there. However, you can add elaboration if your reasoning is a little shorter. So, for example, in this example here, what sports or physical activities do you do regularly? This person says, unfortunately, I don't have time to do any sports or physical activities. That's the statement. That's a statement that's saying, no, I don't do physical activities or sports because of my work commitments. That is their reasoning. And then they went on to elaborate, I'd like to find more time for regular exercise. So you can do that as well. Now, challenges encountered in part 1. So the thing I found difficult was that it is sometimes difficult to talk about myself. In this case, what you have to do is just practice talking about yourself, talking about the things that relate to you, so your family, your neighborhood, just practice all of that. And then the second thing was keeping the answer brief and short while still giving elaboration. So I talked before on how I struggled with keeping my answer short, that the examiner had to step in a bunch of times to kind of stop me. So tips to combat the challenge is you might want to use the words that the examiner used to guide you with your answers. So for example, like the previous example, do you like dancing? Then you might want to use the word dancing. No, I don't like dancing, or yes, I do like dancing. So you use the words that the examiners used. It's okay to do that as long as you don't say word to word, like you paraphrase a bit, you know. And the next thing is stick with 3-sentence max. So maximum is 3 sentences, statement, reason, and elaboration if necessary, to keep your answer short, because again, the examiner will stop you if you are going too far. So here are sample questions, and we will have volunteers, I think, here to, I'll test you, I'll ask you some questions. So is it volunteers or do I pick people here?
Okay, I will help you then. Jadi teman-teman, tadi Kak Maisa udah jelasin tentang the first part in IELTS speaking test, which is interview, or we can say as the warming up, because this is the first part. So you will be asked about several questions about yourself. Jadi pertanyaannya itu tentang teman-teman. Nah, di sini ada contoh-contoh pertanyaan. Nah, kita akan pakai ini untuk pelatihan ya. Jadi kita akan coba bergilir aja dari yang udah menyampaikan ready nih di kolom komentar. Nah, kita mulai dulu dari Kak Uci. Kita sapa dulu. Halo Kak Uci, are you there? Oke, ini Kak Odi juga ready ya, tapi kita urut dari atas. Oke. So Kak Uci, have you ever taken IELTS? Pernah ngambil IELTS sebelumnya?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so this is your first trial ya?
Yes.
Okay, so Kak Maisa akan nanya beberapa pertanyaan. Nanti Kak Uci akan jawab ya. Tadi seperti yang dijelaskan, you have to answer it briefly but also elaborately. Mungkin Maisa untuk Kak Uci bisa pilih 3 pertanyaan and then nanti kasih feedback. Mungkin bagus juga kalau pertanyaannya ditutup. Maybe you can stop your share because otherwise she will be distracted with the sample.
Yeah.
Oke,
Okay.
wah. Kak Uci udah ready juga nih untuk join us. Oke, silahkan. Boleh dimulai, Maisa.
Okay. Okay, Kak Uci, where do you come from, first of all?
Hi, I come from Makassar, South Sulawesi, Indonesia.
Okay, and then can you tell me about your family?
Okay, my family consists of 5 people. My parents, me, I'm the first child, and I have 2 younger brothers.
Okay. And then the last question that I'm going to ask is, what kind of food do you like?
I like a food that is sweet. So even though it's it's have a sour, that's kind of savory or sour taste, I will just add some kind of thing like sugar to. I just kind of like add sugar to sweeten it because I like sweet food.
Okay, great. So now for the feedback for Kauchi, I think you did really well. You answered all 3 questions really well. However, I think in order to improve, you can add elaboration. So for example, on the first question, I asked you where you're from and you say you're from Indonesia. You can say like, I'm from Sulawesi in Indonesia, and you can say one good thing about Indonesia. So you can say something like, Indonesia has many beautiful islands, just as an elaboration. And then the second question was how describe your family. You could say that what does your what's it called? What does your parents do? You could also elaborate on what does your siblings do, things like that. And then lastly, for the what kind of food you like, you gave a statement. However, you didn't give a reason. So you could improve by giving reasons. Why do you like sweets? Or you can give also examples of food that are sweet that you like. So for example, I like sweet candies, for example, like that. But overall, really good. Good job.
Okay, I also spot very good lexical resource, just like sweeten it, and then also you mentioned sour. But the things that also can be improved is your pronunciation and taste ya. Tadi pas bilang taste itu kayak tes. Jadi agak nyaru kalau bahasa Jawanya itu sama tes ya. So the pronunciation is a bit different with taste ya. Oke, thank you Kak Uci. Nanti siapa tahu bisa ikut lagi di part 2 ya. Oke.
Thank you, Kak.
Oke. Next kita ada siapa nih yang ready lagi? Oke. Arif Rahman. Are you there, Arif Rahman?
Okay,
Okay.
I will. Sorry.
Okay, so the mechanism is the same ya. So please, Maisa, you can start.
Okay, so Karif, how often do you go shopping?
I like shopping the last week. I often every month to go something like a daily needs. I like to buy some ingredient, healthy food, or something to get more protein like milk, and it's important to me to keep my or to maintain my healthy. So yeah, it keep me strong to strength about the COVID condition today.
Okay, great. Okay, what about, do you have pets?
I'm sorry, miss.
Do you have a pet?
Oh, I have one cat. My name cat is Mamau. Yeah, it's so nice. I really love it. I see he is grows very quickly. And one of important thing, when I sleep, my cat is follow me in the beside of me. Yeah, it's really nice. I'm very happy to see the growth of my cat.
Okay, good. Well, do you like reading?
Yeah, I a little bit reading and not more, but I always to looking for the something topic about biography about famous people like political people or some uh, I want to say Sandiaga Uno maybe about her history, about his career, his experience to responsible tourism sector. Is nice to follow his career, his experience. So I wanted to take his profile to include in me sometimes. And now I prepare to get more about skills or preparation about all about item on my future. Okay.
Okay, great. So you answered all those three questions flawlessly. You gave a statement and you elaborated a lot. However, one very obvious thing was there was a lot of pauses and hesitations. This will affect your fluency. And also, I'd say keep your elaborations a little shorter, because or else the examiner will stop you in the middle of your elaboration. So I think 3 sentences is just enough. But otherwise, good.
How about my score? You can predict.
I mean, I can't really give a score now because it's only one part.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
very good.
you. Thank you, Mas Arif. This is also information for everyone. Yeah. So for evaluating all the speaking tests, we have to see from all sections. This is a bit different with the writing section. Jadi ini untuk informasi aja. Kalau di writing itu juga ada 2 part. Jadi nggak hanya satu ya. Kalau di IELTS kan ada 3, kalau speaking kan ada 3. Nah, kalau di writing itu kita satu writing dinilai, satu writing dinilai. Nah, jadi nilainya satu-satu. Nah, kalau di speaking kita nilainya itu nggak part 1 dinilai, nilainya berapa, part 2 dinilai, terus dirata-ratain, enggak. Tapi dia akan ngelihat tiga-tiganya, terus nanti dia akan decide skornya berapa dari ketiga hal itu. Jadi agak beda sistem penilaiannya. Thank you, tadi udah ada 2. Yang pertama ada Uci dan ada Mas Arif ya tadi. Aku mau nambahin untuk Mas Arif, tadi benar, kalau bisa elaborasinya untuk part 1 itu dipendekin aja. Maksudnya 3 kalimat, tadi Maisa said that's enough kalau untuk part 1. Sama mungkin Mas Arif tadi ada beberapa repetition, khususnya tadi yang pas jelasin Sandiaga Uno ya. Dia ada jelasin tentang tourism, terus disebutin lagi tourismnya itu dengan langsung gitu, kayak satu kalimat, terus kalimat berikutnya tuh kata-katanya sama. Nah, itu akan ngurangin fluency juga. Will reduce your fluency score. Mungkin itu bisa diganti dengan kalimat lain. Oke, kayaknya kita bisa satu lagi, mungkin ya, sebelum lanjut ke next one. Di sini udah ada setelah Mas Arif yang ready. Jadi ini tadi ada 2 lagi yang nambah komen ready. Kalau ada yang ready lagi, tulis aja ya biar kita tahu. Sini ada Erika. Erika, are you there? Oh, Erika nggak ada. Udah keluar kayaknya. Oke, then let's move to Hiro. Sorry, sebelum ya Hiro dulu. Hiro Renaldi, are you there?
Ya, halo Kak.
Okay, so Hiro, could you open your camera or you cannot open it?
I cannot open the camera. Is it okay?
That's fine. As long as your voice is clear. Okay. Silakan Maisa.
Okay, Hero. What kind of television programs do you watch?
Well, I often to watch television every day, but my favorite television program I think is survival from Korean K-pop. You know, nowadays K-pop is really into in my country Indonesia, and I really watch. I like to watch this with my elder sister.
Okay. What is your home like?
I live in Bandung. There's a capital city of West Java Province, Indonesia. My home is not that big. I think it's 72 square meters type of regular house. I live here with my parents. There are 3 bedrooms with 2 bathrooms overall.
All right. And can you tell me about your plans for the future?
Pardon?
Can you tell me about your plans for the future?
My plan about what? Sorry.
The future. Your plans about the future.
Oh, okay. I would like to continue my master's degree immediately. I try to learn English, but there's a lot of obstacle for me because English not my mother tongue, and in my daily conversation I use Bahasa rather than English, and it's one of my obstacle again. But I try to learn how to improve my English, because if I want to continue my master's degree abroad, I have to speak coherently and clearly in English.
Okay, great. So very good job. You answered those 3 questions really well. You gave a lot of elaborations. Your vocab was very, you used a wide range of vocab as well. So I noticed that you used, instead of saying that English is not your first language, you use mother tongue, which is, I think they will like that word because it's not something that everyone knows. So really good job. However, to improve, I think it was the first question I asked, what kind of television programs you watched. You just stated that you watch survival shows, Korean survival shows with your sister. You could give a reason, like why do you like it or why do you watch it with your sister. But overall, it's really good, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yes, your fluency is really good. I mean, there is only a bit hesitation, and it's in terms of content, not trying to find the vocabulary or grammatical things. Yeah, so I think that's pretty good. Yeah. Oke, next bisa continue materials lagi, Maisa. Nanti kita latihan lagi ya, bagi yang lain yang belum dapat kesempatannya, nanti habis ini siap-siap, berarti Dea ya. Yang lain juga boleh, yang baru gabung, silakan tulis aja komen di chat box ready, terus dari mana, and then we can invite you also to join the practice. Okay, please, Kak Maisa.
Okay, now we will move on to the part 2 of the speaking exam in IELTS. So part 2 is basically like a short presentation where you'll be given a card, in which in the card there will be topics with few bullet points which will prompt you on what to talk about the topic. You won't know the topic beforehand, so it's kind of like a surprise. You'll be given paper and pen to note down your speech for 1 minute, and you'll be asked to talk for 1 to 2 minutes non-stop. And then after that 2 minutes, sometimes they will ask 1 or 2 follow-up questions on the same topic. Now this part lasts for about 3 to 4 minutes, and this part tests your ability to speak for a long time on a given topic. So, and also tests you on your usage of appropriate language, as well as your skills to organize ideas coherently. Okay, so challenges encountered in this part is that it's, as you can see, it's a little harder than part 1. In fact, I think part 1 is the most easiest because it's basically like a conversation about yourself with the examiner. However, in this part, you have to come out with answers regarding the topic on the spot. And you'll be given only 1 minute preparation times, which right now, as I'm saying this, you might be like, oh, 1 minute, I can write everything in 1 minute, which was me last time. I was very chill about it. However, in the test, I found out that 1 minute is a very short time. And so if you run out of time to write your notes, what you can do is basically improvise. And in this part as well, you'll have bigger uncertainties regarding the topics, because unlike part 1, where you know it's going to be about yourself and familiar topics surrounding you, this topic could be anything. So I actually forgot what topic I got, but I know my friend got something to do with fast fashion. So, and also in this part, what is hard is that you have to talk nonstop for 1 to 2 minutes, and that is very hard. And for me, because I struggled a lot in talking for a full 1 to 2 minutes, the examiner kept signaling like this to me, in which I had 3 things going on when she signaled that to me. I was like, in my head, I was like, what is she saying? What is going on? How am I supposed to continue this? Well, she was signaling me to continue, to keep going, but because it was recording, she can't tell me to go more, elaborate more. So she was gesturing me to keep going on. But yeah, I sort of panicked. All you have to do is not panic and just talk. Okay, so tips to combat these challenges are instead of don't ever write full sentence in your notes. Write your notes as simple lists, and if you can, use abbreviations, because 1 minute flies so fast. And you can also use the bullet points in the prompt card to actually guide your speech. And also, don't think too much about grammar. Grammar is worth only 25%. And in this part specifically, if you care about grammar too much, you will lose the drive to prompt ideas to answer the questions, because the goal is to talk for 2 minutes maximum. So if you keep thinking about grammar, that's going to affect your fluency. You want to have at least one key idea for each bullet point, each section. I will show the type of question in the next slide. And what you can do to ensure that you will nail this part is you can start making notes on different topics. So any topics, you can start making notes, and then you can practice, time yourself for 2 minutes. So what you can, how you can structure your sentence here, or your arguments here, is you can say a statement regarding the topic. You can provide a reason on your statement, like why is your statement like that. You can also give your own opinions and feelings. And a lot of people dive deep into giving examples and stories, because when you give examples and stories, you tend to be able to talk for a long time. Okay, now the sample questions for this. So the questions will look like this. It will look like the thing in bold right now. So there's going to be the main topic, and then under that, there's going to be several bullet points that will guide you. So here underlined are band 7 to 9 vocabularies that might be useful for you to use. Now we'll talk about this example. This example, the words that I've highlighted are basically the answers to each bullet point. As you can see, this person's favorite season is winter. However, for the first bullet point, they elongated their answer to this much, which is what you want. You want to make your answers long in order for you to speak for a long time. For the second answer, what is the weather like at that time? They described it as the temperature drops below 0 and there's snows and snowfalls. So that this whole thing is only that second bullet point. So you want to have short key points, but elongate them. So add something more. And then for the third one, they said that the season is different from other seasons because there's snow, and that winter is a little colder than other seasons. But this is how much they put. And then for the last bullet point, they said that it's their favorite season because they like the snow. Typically, you can normally people would just stop at I like snow, but that is not enough. This is why you have to elongate a lot, which is like this person here. They elongated this much. Now, here is a sample note of how I would do my notes. This is theoretically how I would do them, but in real life, last time when I did them, I probably just went about halfway here. And then because it was really fast and I had to think of things, and the rest was just me improvising. But if you have the time, this is what, if I had the time, this is what my notes would look like. So I would adhere to these bullet points in this way. So I'd use short words. And here I also use a lot of like abbreviations like this, because just BC. I know it's BC is because, but it just saves time to write BC instead of because. And then choco instead of chocolate. So you could do something like this for the notes. So I think we'll have a practice round again.
Okay, okay, thank you, Maisa. Before starting to the practice, I would like to add another important tips here, because this happens also to me. The question is very various. It can be something that you ready for, but it can be also something that you never imagine that it will be asked. Jadi kadang-kadang pertanyaannya itu mengejutkan. Nah, jadi kalau ada pertanyaan yang kira-kira mungkin kita nggak pernah pikirin sebelumnya, karena waktu kita cuma 1 minute, so we only have 1 minute, we have to think something quickly, kayak apapun yang lewat di pikiran kita itu aja yang diambil. this is my experience, yeah, based on my experience. I got the question about, please explain your, or describe your experience when you got something for free. Itu kan banyak banget ya, kayak pasti pengalaman dapat gratisan tuh pernah banyak banget, atau mungkin bisa jadi teman-teman belum pernah dapat gratisan. Nah, what you can do is, kalau misalnya belum pernah dapat gratisan, ya udah, kalau di part 1 kan kita bisa bilang kayak, enggak, aku belum pernah dapat gratisan gitu. Tapi kalau di sini itu akan sangat limiting your answer. Sementara teman-teman itu harus jelasin selama 2 menit kan, kayak Maisa tadi bilang. Nah, jadi yang bisa teman-teman lakukan adalah try to make up story, ya, quote and quote make up story. Jadi kayak, ya udah, bilang aja mungkin pernah dapat gratis buku gitu ya. Bayangin apa yang teman-teman pernah dapat gitu. Dan describe tentang bukunya. Setelah itu lebih panjang kan. Dibandingkan kita udah limiting our answer, oh saya nggak pernah dapat buku gratis gitu. Udah selesai berarti your story, and jadi nggak bisa elaborate lagi kan, sayang. Gitu ya. Jadi another tips yang mungkin bisa bermanfaat, karena pertanyaannya bisa macam-macam. Dan satu lagi, pertanyaannya itu pasti masih tentang diri kita, experience atau hal-hal yang pernah kita lakukan. Jadi jangan takut disuruh jelasin teori ekonomi apa gitu ya. Dia pokoknya masih tentang hal-hal yang pernah kita lakukan. Misalnya nanti ada contohnya juga ya pas kita latihan ini sama Kak Maisa. Oke, itu tambahan. Nah, sekarang gimana mekanismenya mungkin agak beda. Di sini kita, karena waktunya terbatas, kita cuma akan pilih 2 orang ya, yang untuk yang section yang ini. Kita akan ada Kak Dea. Are you ready, Kak Dea? Bentar. Masih ada nggak?
Yes.
Oke. Nah, Kak Dea sama siapa lagi? How many questions do you prepare, Maisa, for this part?
So I'm planning to just use the question that's here right now. So 2 questions here, these questions.
Oh,
Is that okay?
That's totally fine. Berarti 2 ya?
Yeah.
Berarti kita akan satu lagi Kak Odi ya? Oke. Nah, jadi waktunya nanti Kak Maisa akan kasih waktu 1 menit untuk pertanyaannya. Oh iya, sebelumnya Kak Odi, ready? Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Oke. Jadi nanti aku decide aja ya. Kak Dea, pertanyaannya tentang what type of website it is ya. Yang sebelah kiri, yang describe a website. Terus Kak Odi yang describe a season. Oke. Nah, terus nanti Kak Maisa akan kasih waktu 1 menit untuk bikin notes. Jadi bukan bikin jawaban kayak gini. Karena you will not have enough time for making this kind of sentences. Karena waktunya cuma 1 menit. Jadi kayak yang notes yang tadi Kak Maisa bikin aja. Nah, kayak gitu. Oke. Siap, Dea sama Odi? Ready ya? Oke, Maisa, you can start counting 1 minute. Okay, your 1 minute start from now. Kalau 1 minute-nya udah beres, kasih tahu Maisa.
Okay, 10 seconds, 8 seconds. Okay, that's it. 1 minute, time's up.
Nah, kita mulai dulu dari Dea dulu ya. Describing a website. Dea, are you ready? Halo, Dea. Halo. Okay, siap deh.
Yep.
Okay, you can describe and present your answer. Start from now.
Like this one.
Yang tadi dia prepare aja.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
for 2 minutes ya. Okay, start from now.
Okay. I want to talk about Instagram. Yeah, Instagram like a social media I use social interaction with our friends and family. Like we can talk each other and sorry, I stuck.
Okay, no problem.
Blank.
Maisa, you can provide feedback gimana cara mengatasi blanks atau
So in this case, I think you didn't know what else to say, right? So after social interaction, so Instagram enables you to build social interactions with families and friends, and you got stuck in that, right? Because were you trying to elaborate, or were you trying to give reasons? What were you trying to do?
Ya, silakan deh.
Yes, and in Instagram, I can share my experience where I go to another place, like
Okay, so she tries to elaborate ya, bukan give reason tapi lebih
Elaborate.
mengelaborasi ya, lebih ke explore lagi ya dia ya, dibandingkan kasih alasan ya tentang Instagram.
Okay.
Enggak, maksud aku nanya, am I right? Bener nggak? Tadi dia berusaha untuk mengelaborasi apa aja yang dipakai di Instagram kan, bukan ngasih alasan kenapa pakai Instagram. Benar? Okay. So I suppose itu benar. I assume that's correct. Silakan, Maisa. You can continue.
Okay. So in that case, if you're stuck with finding elaborations or reasoning, and you're like trying to think, oh, how can I elaborate? How can I give reasons? And you can't, move on to a different topic. As in, move on to a different your other point. So you can say like, for example, like that example. So social media, Instagram provides social interactions with friends and family, and you're like trying to find, oh, what else can I say about friends and family? Then you can actually talk about, for example, and Instagram I can also get different informations in Instagram regarding worldwide updates or things like that. So just move on. So that's a tip that I would give.
Okay, another tip. Bagus, thank you,
Okay,
Maisa.
thank you.
There you start with a good point. Yeah. Maybe speak at length is a little bit difficult for somebody if they rarely use English. Jadi yang bisa dilakukan berikutnya adalah mungkin perbanyak kesempatan untuk ngobrol sendiri, kayak ngomong sendiri di pikiran kita dalam bahasa Inggris. Itu akan sangat membantu kita untuk membiasakan kita untuk catching up the ideas in English. Kayak ya kita misalnya mau makan nih, I will eat this kayak gitu. Kayak biasakan aja di pikiran kita dalam bahasa Inggris, because our environment is a bit different with Maisa, right? Because Maisa stayed for long time in other countries, so dia udah terbiasa dengan bahasa Inggris. Nah, makanya yang bisa kita lakukan dengan lingkungan kita yang berbahasa Indonesia ya, kita buat our own environment in English. Itu bakalan sangat membantu. Oke, itu udah keren.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
juga
Kak.
deh. Thank you juga deh. Your start very well ya. Nah, sekarang kita lanjut ke Odi. Kak Odi, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I have to spotlight you. Okay. So we can see you. Okay, Kak Odi, you can start your presentation now.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to talk about my favorite season. I really like a rainy season since my home country is a tropical nation, a tropic nation. I mean, mm, I'm over the moon when I look the raining sky because I remember a scene from a Korean drama that I watched 2 weeks ago. There was a scene that an actor run in the middle of rain. So I just imagine that I become like him as an actor. And for the time, I just remember the lesson from my teacher. This season it is usually happen on October to March, but because of the climate change, it become unpredictable now. I don't know about the reason, but it's a fact that I really love rain, and I think whenever I meet this occasion, I feel like I can know the feel how to be a Korean actor. I mean, mm, there's some time. I think in Indonesia there is no fall or autumn seasons, so this there are only um two occasion in my country. So I will like recommend you to visit my in my country if you have an opportunity to go overseas, especially to Bali or Jakarta. Mm, oh my God, the time is so long. Okay, how about this?
Okay, how about the time, Maisa?
Yeah,
It's already past 2 minutes.
Okay.
thank you, Miss.
Thank you.
It's
Odila.
okay. Okay,
Okay.
so you did really, really well. So you used over the moon, which is a very nice expression. Like they will like that. Phrases like that, expression like that, idioms like that, they will like it. So you use that, which is very good. You also elongated a lot of your points, and to the point where it extended 2 minutes. So that is very good. You know how to elongate your words and talk about different things. However, did you? I kind of forgot. Did you explain what the weather is like at that time of the year?
Yeah, I said October to March. But because
I
of
mean,
the,
what is it like? What is the weather like? Is it? Did you describe the weather?
oh, and I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay. So because that is one of the required bullet point to improve, you can describe about what is the weather like. So a lot of rain, a lot of clouds, but overall, very good, very good. Good job.
Okay, another point from me ya, Mas Odi, bagus banget. Tadi pas mengawalinya juga bagus ya, kayak I'm going to describe about the weather, my favorite season in my country. Itu salah satu bridging point yang bagus. Soalnya kan point fluency itu sama coherence ya. Nah, coherence tuh how we as a listener can easily follow your idea. Jadi kayak pertama, oh ini anak mau jelasin ini, terus nanti setelah itu kasih alasannya. Jadi ada penghubungannya antara satu poin dengan poin yang lain. Itu salah satu yang bagus. Tapi tadi aku mau confirm ke Maisa, lebihnya berapa menit?
21 seconds.
Oh, itu banyak banget. Harusnya udah di cut dari awal ya.
Okay, my mistake.
No worries, because I feel also kayaknya terlalu lama because I didn't set my own stopwatch ya. Tadi soalnya kalau nanti di real test misalnya kita ngerasa udah lama, jangan bilang the time is so long ya. Itu nanti mengacaukan semua hal yang bagus tadi. Jadi udah ngomong aja pokoknya sampai di cut sama examinernya gitu. Kalau di real test nanti ya. Meskipun kita ngerasa kok lama kali gitu ya. Oke, Mas Odi from Jambi, very good. Oke, next Maisa. Kita bisa lanjut ke next materials.
Okay. So the next part 3 of speaking, is basically a two-way discussions of you and the examiner. This is where you and the examiner will ask you follow-up questions that is related to topic you got in part 2. The test will last for 4 to 5 minutes. And this test basically tests your ability to express and justify your opinions, and as well as analyzing and discussing and speculating about different issues. So 3 techniques for you to give more longer answers and detailed answers is keep asking yourself why. Because essentially this is a question about your own opinions. Why do you feel like that? Why is it like this? Why is your answer this? Why did you give this statement? What is the reason? You can also explain the alternatives, meaning the other side, as in the opposite opinions about what you just said. For example, if you say that I don't think people should litter, you could say that I don't think people should litter because it might harm the environment. However, I think people might litter because they're too lazy. So that is an alternative to why people might do the other end of your opinion, you know? And you could also give an example. So an example of the time I've seen people littering is blah, 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 blah. So it could go like this. Common question types that you might encounter during this part is compare and contrast. This basically means, say, explain the advantage and the disadvantage about a topic. They will also sometimes ask about give an opinion. So how do you feel about this topic? And imagine. Imagine is typically followed with like a scenario. So imagine if the world was this, how would you feel about this? Something like that. So challenges encountered in this part is you might be asked about the past and future. This is because they want to test you on your tenses. So they want to test you on whether or not you can use past tense correctly or future tense correctly or just present tense correctly. And the questions may sound a little tricky. So if you didn't know what compare and contrast mean, you might be stuck at that. However, the beauty of this section is that unlike the other section, you can ask about it, or you can ask about the questions to your examiner. You can be like, could you please rephrase the question? Which I did. I actually asked my examiner about some question. I forgot what question it was, but I didn't really understand her. So I asked her to elaborate, in which she did. For part 1 and part 2, you can't ask the examiner. They're not allowed to answer. But for this part, you can ask them to rephrase or elaborate the question if it sounds a little tricky. Now, tips to combat the challenges encountered is that you should be confident about your own opinions. I actually forgot to mention this, but I noticed that for a lot of Indonesians especially, they're like, oh, I'm too scared to speak English because I know I can't speak English fluently. Don't be scared about that. You have to be confident. So what I'm learning, so what I can make mistakes, just like your own opinions. So what I think this, because I have my own reasons, I have my own justifications, it's fine. You just have to be confident about your own opinion. And as I said before, you can ask the examiner to rephrase or elaborate. Use discourse markers. So I will show more about what discourse markers is in the next slide. And you just have for this part to treat the test as if you're just having a normal discussion with the examiner. Now, the recommended sentence or a sentence structure that you can use is you can state your opinion, you can prove a reason why, give an example, and then you can either elaborate, so give an elaboration, give another, like expand on your answers more, or you could give an alternative. So you could explain about the other side. So like what I said about the littering, why people might litter. For elaboration, it could be like, you could be like, your opinion could be, I don't think people should litter because it harms the environment. For example, marine animals could be harmed. It could affect like turtles. You could, and then for elaborations, you could give like, I've seen a lot of videos in which a lot of marine animals actually die because of these plastics. You could talk something about like something like that. Now, discourse markers, this is actually very, very important and very useful. Actually, when I was learning English as well, like when I had English as a subject in my school, and my teacher who taught me, she also, like in my class, it wasn't just non-natives. There are also like people who has English as their first language. She had this sheet laminated because it is very useful for essay writing and also for speaking, because it allows you to organize your thoughts better and to structure your sentence better. So I would recommend you to take a screenshot of this or take a picture of this and use this, because it is very, very important. This is also very useful in your writing test. So when you're practicing for your writing test, this will be very useful. And here I have a slide of useful phrases you can use to give a personal opinion. So in my opinion, I feel that, I would say that, it seems to me that, things like that. Or you could say that my take on this topic is, and then you could you could elaborate on that. So you can also take a picture of this, screenshot this, or just note it down. I'll give you a few seconds. Okay, now for this sample question, this is if the topic given in part 2 was about technology and about wildlife. This is what the questions would look like. So for this technology here, for the first question, what technology or equipment is used in most workplaces today? What you can do is you can give a list of different technologies that is used in workplaces. Then you can focus on one in detail. Now, for the second question, does technology help workers or does it make their lives more difficult? That's essentially asking you what is the good thing and what is the bad thing about technology. So you could do that. And lastly, for the last for the last question, what effect does new technology have on employment? So what effect, essentially, because there's always good effect and bad effect, what you can do is you can talk about both. Here I have highlighted this is, I think it's a way of expressing yourself. And then because is a way to reason, and then to give reasons. For example, is a way to give examples. On the other hand, is when you want to give comparisons. And then I think is, again, a way of expressing your opinions. And at the same time is also like kind of like a comparison. At the same time, I also feel this. At the same time, jobs might be created thanks to new technology. And here, the Band 7 vocabulary is actually underlined. So it might be useful for you to take notes of that and use that. I think we'll have a practice round again now.
Okay, thank you Maisa for the explanation. Tadi ada beberapa yang teman-teman boleh screenshot ya, biar bisa dapat. Kalau tadi kelewatan, nanti bisa minta ke admin juga materinya, nanti admin yang akan kirim ke teman-teman. Oke, di sini kita akan 2 orang lagi. So this is our final practice. Jadi untuk malam ini, nanti sisanya kita Q&A aja karena I think the time is limited. Sekarang kita coba dulu ke siapa di sini? Ada 2 ya. Yang pertama ada Salma. So after Odi is Salma. Are you ready, Salma?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, and then setelah itu siap-siap Marwa Tunisa ya. Oke, karena di sini juga kita nggak boleh lihat question-nya. Jadi boleh di close juga, Mesa. Oke, silakan. Mungkin bisa 3 questions kayak yang part 1 ya.
Okay, so Salma, what technology or equipment is used in most workplaces today?
Okay, so the technology who are useful in nowadays is computer and handphone and tablet. But I think the most useful tools that I use infrequently is handphone, because it opens up more informations when I search about something, and it's also very simple to just hang it for go. I'm sorry, could I boleh diulang lagi nggak?
Okay, sure.
I feel so nervous.
It's fine. No worries.
Okay, so should I answer it now?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so the technologies who are useful in nowadays is a computer, handphone, or just a tablet. But I think when it comes to the most useful ones, I could say that handphone is probably the tools that people are usually try to just using it in everyday life because it's very simple to use and it's very effective and efficient to just um, use it and whenever and wherever that we can have it, and it opens up more informations just by typing up in the search box, and um, it's very small to have in your pockets. Okay, so does technology help workers or does it make their lives more difficult? In my opinion, technology does help us so much in practical ways because it makes our job more efficient and it makes us more easy to just doing something for our job, and it's very useful when it comes to just working uh, in our home right now. Okay, so what effect does new technology have on employment? I think the technology itself is helping us to just discover jobs more easily than before, and also it helps the employers to find out more about the employees' information, the employees' data, and for example, in LinkedIn, people tend to search jobs more easily than before, and it opens up more job opportunities so that we can have many opportunity to just choosing what's best jobs for us. Okay, good job. So you answered all those three questions nicely. So the first note is in the real test, you won't be able to repeat what you said, what you just did, but it's okay. It's a practice session. But other than that, I think you did well. You put intonation as well, which is what they kind of look for intonation as well, because it makes you sound more fluent instead of talking like very robotic, very flat. They want you to talk like a native, and obviously in real life you'd use intonation. So that's really good. And also for the last question, what you could do is you could also talk about the disadvantage of technology. For example, you only talked about the advantage, but other than that, good job.
Okay, another point that I would like to add, in terms of grammatical range and accuracy ya. Tadi mungkin yang pertama pas bilang the technology who is useful ya kalau nggak salah. Nah itu kan kurang cocok ya, karena teknologi itu is not human, therefore you cannot use who, bisa pakai which gitu. Mungkin ada beberapa grammar yang mungkin bisa diperbaiki juga untuk meningkatkan skor. Mungkin untuk Salma itu ya, not tambahan.
Okay, thank you so much for the advice.
Okay. Good job. Next kita ada Marwa. Are you ready, Marwa?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Okay, so what effects do you think humans have on wild animals?
I think human really affect it. I think because that climate change and the world is changing right now, and it's that's because of human. And one of that affect wild animals, and there are so many human behaviors that affect it. One of them is deforestation, and it's also led to climate change. So the wild animals also being affected by it.
Okay. What measures could we take to protect wildlife?
Can you repeat the question?
What measures? What do you think we could do to protect the wildlife?
Okay. I think there are many things that we can do from I mean from the individual and also by the government. By individual, I mean we as a human, we can start by maybe start to educate our child to get aware about this issue, so they will become more noticed with this. And of course we can also do like maybe we can increase our knowledge about the current issue about what animals, so we can also educate people around us, not just our family. And then by the government also can make some regulation, like make sure that they should make a rule about how to cut the forest. So I mean, the people, specifically the constructor, not just cut it down indefinitely. I mean, to unconsiderably. So I think the government can make some rule about it.
Okay. Is it the responsibilities of schools to teach children about protecting wildlife?
Of course, yes, but it's not just the role of, I mean, not just school that play a role about it, but also us. Maybe we will be parents in the future too, so we should always we should also inform our offspring in the future. So it's not just about the school, but also the parents, because the first person that will educate their child is their parents, something like that.
Okay, so you did a great job. Your fluency was really good. You talked about a lot of things. However, I think in the first question, to improve, you can talk about the good things that maybe humans have done for the wildlife, because it asks about effects, right? So it's good if you talk about the good and the bad effect. And then also in the second question, you said that we should make the issue more noticeable, so that the youngs would, and you use the word notice, would be more noticed. I think to replace the word notice, it would be better if you use the word aware, so the youngs would be more aware of the issue. I think that's the tips. But other than that, you did really good. Good job.
Okay, one more point. I noticed you repeat a lot of times about using I mean. Di banyak banget pakai I mean-nya, dan itu ngerasa agak ngeganggu sedikit karena repetitionnya itu benar-benar dekat. Kalau khususnya untuk pertanyaan kedua ya tadi, I mean terus baru dijelasin langsung I mean lagi, jadi kayak terlalu sering. Mungkin kayak kita nggak sengaja bilang, kalau di bahasa Indonesia kayak kita nggak sengaja bilang kayak jadi kebanyakan kayaknya, jadi itu kayak sesuatu yang keluar. Nah ini aku juga kebanyakan kayak, jadi mungkin itu ya sedikit tambahan. Mungkin Marwa nggak notice, tapi nanti bisa lihat lagi rekamannya biar oh ya bener sih, kayaknya aku terlalu banyak bilang ini. Oke, itu tambahannya. Oke, Maisa, do you still have materials or udah?
I have one more slide about some additional tips that might be useful. So can I just go over that quickly?
Sure.
Okay. So the last points that I'm going to talk is some additional tips. So these are something that I found very useful, and I'm glad I did do before the test, instead of actually going to the test like my friend unprepared, like my friend recommended being unprepared. So I actually watched a few sample speaking videos on YouTube. If you search up on YouTube IELTS speaking test, there's a lot, and they have like the bands of the people. So you can look at band 9 and band 8, and what you can do is you can hear the pronunciation of different words, practice their pronunciation, the way they say it, and you can also observe a range of sentence types that they've used. You can adapt, you can listen to it, and you can write it down and then adapt it to different topics. This also, by watching, also it also serves as a simulation of the real exam. So what you can do is you can hear the examiner talk, then you can hear the examiner ask a question, pause the video, and you answer the question. You time yourself, you answer the question, and then you can compare your answers with the person that's answering in the video. And then what else you could do is you could look at sample writing paragraphs. So this will not only help you in speaking, this will help you also in writing. This is what I did when I was waiting for my name to be called for the test. So I was just on my phone reading sample paragraphs. So here you can look at different sentence structures that people have used in their paragraphs, and you can look at different vocabularies, because I feel like people in their writing paragraphs, they tend to show off more of the complex vocab. So you can actually take that and use it in the speaking test. And lastly, practice by yourself or with someone else, it doesn't matter. So by practice, you're actually practicing like a presentation. So you practice your intonation, your speed of speaking, and clarity. Clarity means just how clear you are. And you can also time yourself when you practice to make sure that you can talk within the time limit and practice fluency. And that is all for the tips. I don't think we have time for this because we already did it anyways. But here I have some extra questions. You can actually take a picture or screenshot this. This is for part 1. If you want to practice more in your own time, I'll give you a few seconds. This is questions for part 2. And remember, in part 2, you get 1 minute to make notes. I'll give you a few seconds. And part 3, this question and the previous question, I made it to link. So this is roughly what you probably would get if you get the same topic as this one, topic 2. And then we have, before our Q&A, I actually forgot to mention this, but for universities, I heard that the band that they usually accept is 6.5. So most people would try to aim for 6.5. Oh, and also they want each scores to be 6 and above. And so a lot of people would want to aim for 6.5, but I would suggest when you look at the band descriptors, look at the higher bands, look at band 8 and band 9 as well, because if you only look at band 7 and 6, then if you did really well, the highest score you can get is 7, which is, you can make your scores higher. Okay, so you can look at band 9 and 8 to maximize your potential, and you can beat me in the scores. So that's what you want to aim to do. Now we have Q&A. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay, thank you, Maisa. Actually, it's already 9 o'clock, but if you still have time, can we go to the Q&A session?
Oh, I think there's a question already. So
yeah, do you still have time? Because I promise you that we will end at 9.
Oh yeah, I'm free the whole night.
Okay. Then yeah, this is question from Salma. First, she would like to thank you very much because your wonderful presentation, and it's very thorough. And she asked about nervousness because she mentioned that in your presentation you have nervousness, and can you give the tips and trick how to deal with nervousness?
I think you want to okay, so firstly, of course, walking in a test, you're nervous, that's a given. Walking in a presentation, even before giving this workshop, I was very nervous. What you can do to lessen that nervousness is practice. And then for me, my own experience, when I did walk through the room, I was nervous, but as you talk to the examiner more, you think of it as just a normal conversation. So ignore the fact that it's recorded, ignore the fact that it's the test, just talk normally to the examiner, talk as if the examiner is, for example, your senior or your friend. Just ignore everything about the test and just think that you're just having a normal conversation. So I think that will help a lot, and practice.
Yes. To add what Maisa just answered, basically what I have learned about nervousness in theoretical because I took presentation skills in my modular course during my master degree. And it mentioned that basically nervousness comes from expectation. So you come with expectation. Misalnya waktu mau masuk ruangan kan pasti punya ekspektasi, oh aku harus jawab sebagus mungkin misalnya, because I will be graded, because I will be evaluated. nanti nilainya harus 6,5 tadi. Misalnya contoh target university-nya 6,5. Jadi itu yang membuat ketegangan. Ya, misalnya Maisa datang ke sini, giving presentation. Nanti aku didengerin nggak ya? Atau nanti murid-muridnya gimana ya? Apakah songong-songong nggak ya? Kayak gitu. Mungkin ekspektasinya banyak. Tapi ya tadi, as long as kamu bisa merasa bahwa ini ya conversation biasa, terus melupakan hal-hal yang sifatnya membebani, itu bakalan bisa mengurangi ya, sedikit mengurangi nervous kita. Dan tadi bener banget, aku kembali ke yang Maisa bilang di awal, nervousness itu wajar, semuanya bakalan nervous karena dia punya ekspektasi. Nah itu cara untuk menghilangkannya mungkin tadi praktis sama cobalah untuk ya jadikan ini sebagai conversation aja gitu, lupakan burden-burdennya. Oke, thank you Salma for the question, semoga menjawab. Is there any more question dari yang lain? Boleh raise hand juga kalau mau langsung tanya atau bisa tulis juga di chat box. Is there any more question? Kalau tidak ada, I will count. Oh ada, dari Arif. Silakan Arif.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I want to ask to Miss Maisa for the section 2 speaking test, part 2. Okay. The typical of the test is describe about something, and list the clue card is some point to answer this question. So if we answer all the clue card before 2 minutes, is get more score or not? And one question again for the part 1 about describe or tell about yourself. You say that opinion or statement and reasoning, for example, or elaborating. I said some tips from the others say that only enough to provide 3 sentence or statement. Is this correct or not, Miss? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so thank you for the question. For the first question, I think you were asking about whether if you answered all the bullet points before 2, you'd get more marks. Is that right?
Yes, that's the question.
Oh, okay. So the point is you have to talk for 1 to 2 minutes. So if you talk less than 1 minute, then they will prompt you to talk more. They will, as I said before, gesture you to talk more. But as long as you reach the 1 minute, 2 minute mark, they will just accept as it is. As long as you don't exceed 2 minutes as well. And then for the second question, yes, stick with maximum 3, because if you give too long, then they will stop you. And that is the hard part. Sticking with 3 sentences by giving reasons and elaborations. Well, the elaborations is not that necessary if your reasoning is already long, but if your reason is short, then it's nice to give elaboration, just to lengthen the answer a little bit. But you have to be careful not to get carried away. So that is the answer.
Okay, thank you, Miss.
Okay, thank you also Arif for your question. Now we have Odi. Yeah, please Odi.
Miss, I would
Hello,
like to
Odi.
ask. Sorry, am I audible?
Yes.
I would like to ask about speaking in fluency.
Yeah.
I have gotten an advice from my mate that if I want to speak without any hesitation, I should go abroad. Since you has been living overseas for more than 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, is it a true statement? If I go abroad, maybe now I have not reached 6.5 for a requirement for a scholarship, but I think there are other chances, maybe for business trip or leisure trip. Is it right if I go abroad? It will force my English skills, especially speaking, to be better than now, Miss. Thank you.
Okay, that's a good question. The statement I feel like is sort of a stretch, but at one point, at one part, it is right that if you go abroad, because if you're in Indonesia, right, you're inclined more to speak Indonesian because everyone else speaks Indonesian. But when you're abroad, you're inclined more to speak English as a universal language because you don't know the native language. So in a way, it is right that you have no other choice but to get to speak English. That is why some people might think that you have to go abroad to force your English. But the point is here, forcing your English out. That's one of my points, actually. A lot of people here, they tend to not speak English here because they're scared. Like they're scared that they might be wrong. That they're not good enough, for example. That's why they don't use their English here. But as long as as long as you're able, you're confident to use your English, even though it's wrong. Like obviously you're learning, right? So it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to make wrong structures. All you have to do is know that you're wrong, and then you learn from your mistakes. So as long as you use it well here, you can force it out with somebody else. Or if you just watch YouTube, or I think there's a lot of language app where you can talk to natives. I think that helps as well. So instead of for maybe like spending a lot and going abroad just to learn English, you can also learn in your home country. And also, if you want to go abroad to learn English, you have to go abroad to mostly a country where the English is the first language. So that's probably only like maybe Australia, the UK, or the US. Other than that, other countries have different language. Like from my case, I went to the Middle East, right? So people assume that I could speak Arabic because I go to Middle East, but no, I can't speak Arabic because my environment, I went to an international school where they spoke English. So if I didn't go to an international school, then my English wouldn't be the same. I would be more inclined to maybe speak more Arabic, maybe. So that is my answer for that question.
Okay, Mas Fadi, is it answering your question? Hopefully, yeah.
Yes, thank you, Miss.
Okay.
No problem.
Thank you very much, also Mas Fadi, and also thank you, Maisa, for your inspiring materials as well, and also your answers for every questions. Because we comes to the end already for this webinar, maybe I will give you a time for closing statement or take-home message for the last part for this webinar. Okay, maybe you can give your take-home message.
Wait, let me just show the slides again. So
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone who have joined this webinar. This is actually my first webinar, so I was really nervous preparing this and also delivering this to everyone. But you guys are very cooperative. You participate when Karyo asks you to, and you answer my questions really well. I hope that you will be able to achieve the grades, hopefully higher grades than me, because you can do it. When you take your IELTS. And don't be nervous. Continue learning English. Don't be scared. Practice a lot. And that's it. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Maisa, once again. Kita akhiri dengan foto bersama ya. Jadi if you have, kalau teman-teman pada bisa buka kamera, mungkin akan lebih bagus. Oke, di sini sudah ada Kak Odi ya. Oke, kalau yang belum nggak apa-apa. Oke, ada Kak Uci juga. Kita akan hitung 3 sampai 3. Nanti aku akan screen cap ya. 1, 2, 3. Oke, thank you semuanya. Thank you juga Kak Maisa. Luar biasa materinya ya teman-teman. Dan terima kasih juga teman-teman udah praktis. Tadi pesan terakhirnya jangan lupa untuk terus latihan, jangan takut, dan selalu gunakan bahasa Inggris dengan niat untuk belajar juga. Oke, nah terakhir saya mau kasih form feedback, jadi teman-teman bisa isi feedback untuk webinar kali ini agar kita bisa mendapatkan evaluasi dari teman-teman juga ya, supaya webinar kita menjadi lebih baik. Oke, itu udah berapa ya si linknya, jadi teman-teman bisa bit.ly/feedback webinar oversee. Nanti langsung isi aja. Oke, once again terima kasih semuanya. Terima kasih Maisa juga udah ngisi webinar di Sabtu malam ini. Dan kita ketemu lagi insya Allah di next webinar berikutnya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Rio. Thank you,
Thank
Miss
you,
Maisa.
everyone.
See you.
Oke, see you
Assalamualaikum.